FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio, this is The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Handicapping all the football action, here's Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.
Hello, good people, and welcome to The Odds Couple. Thanksgiving week, rivalry week, big week to talk football, and we will do that today, week 13. We'll talk a lot of SEC, Memphis Tigers, also the National Football League. It is all coming your way. I'm Rob Fisher. John Roser here in studio with us. Hello, John.
What up?
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too.
Some bad beats last week we might get into. I did have
my two picks. Well, it actually was more like four. I hit a 3-teamer.
You did hit a 3-teamer. I did hit UCF on a good beat last week against Cincinnati, and I was one who did have Abilene Christian last week, if you've seen those highlights. Holy smokes. CJ Hurt here in the studio with us as well. Hello, CJ.
Hello, y'all. How's it going?
Good, doing well. Good to see you, sir. And Lang Whitaker, it's a holiday, so Lang goes back to the Grind City Resort Hotel Casino Fiesta. What is happening?
They called and they said, you know what? Memphis finally covered a game. You've been riding with Memphis all season long. Come on back. Come back for the holidays. And also, I didn't want to hang out with you turkeys this week.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, Memphis covered a game last week, and it wasn't looking like they were going to cover that game. 20-14 late in that third quarter, and then all of a sudden an explosion. Memphis finally did get a cover. We'll get to the Tigers in a moment, but first, what did we learn from the week gone by, John?
I think we have pretty much learned Alabama's the best team in the country. You're chasing Alabama right now. That was just sheer dominate. 63-3. That is. That's ridiculous. How are you doing that this late in the season? Mm-hmm. Beating teams 63-3. Alabama is head and shoulders, especially after Ohio State's performance. They clearly have problems on the defensive end and their offensive line. They could not protect Fields at all. Guys were just running free at him. And he was sacked, I think, 6 times or something like that. Alabama, clear cut, the number one team in the country.
Yeah. Lang, what did you learn this last week?
I learned that the Georgia Bulldogs finally have a quarterback. They have someone who can see over the offensive line, who can throw the ball down the field. JT Daniels finally got a start and threw the ball downfield more than I think Jake Fromm and Stetson Bennett have done combined over the last 3 seasons. Finished with over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and Georgia outscored Mississippi State, who was moving the ball pretty well on offense themselves. But I think Georgia is finally here. This is the team we thought they had, and maybe it's too late. I don't know if there's a way for them to get back in it, but Georgia got a quarterback, and maybe for the next couple seasons now, they might have something to reckon with.
Yeah, and I assume he was hurt. I guess we just assume that he was hurt. Yeah,
there was an interview with his father, actually, this week that was going around the Georgia fan message boards, which I may or may not spend some time looking at. And there was an interview with his dad who talked about that he saw him play in August, and he said he just clearly wasn't right. He said he was really grateful to Kirby Smart for not throwing him out there before he was ready to play. And he still didn't look 100%. It still looked like he had some trouble running full speed and stuff like that, but he was good enough. And I think that's been the missing piece for Georgia, and they might finally have it.
Yeah, I think almost good enough this week was the thing that I learned. The SEC, we've gotten to this point with the SEC this year. A lot of good job, good effort, pat on the head performances last week. Mississippi State, that was good. You know, cute, nice little effort.
We're not doing that for Kentucky.
Vanderbilt, nice little pat on the helmet. Arkansas, good little good effort. That was fun against LSU. South Carolina, good effort with your new coach against Mizzou. It was just kind of a lot of good effort losses in the SEC.
We'll get to Vandy, and they're not playing this week.
They are playing now.
Oh yeah, they are. They're not playing who they were supposed to play.
That's right.
And we will get to that. We will get to that.
Memphis Tigers, they did get a win. They were not covering for a long time in that game against Steve Austin last week at the Liberty Bowl. But the Tigers do get the win, and afterwards Brady White became the all-time leading touchdown passer in Tigers history, passing Danny Wimprine. He talked about that honor afterwards.
I feel very honored. I want to first, before I say it, I want to recognize my teammates that I play with and the coaches that have coached me, because without coming to this place, without having the coaches I've had game planning each opponent every week for the last 3 seasons without having the offensive linemen and the receivers and running backs and tight ends, everyone around me. I couldn't be doing these things. And so I appreciate everyone that's been involved. And then I just feel very fortunate to have played at a high level and to break that. It's really cool to be on top of the mountain, on top of the list for, what is it, career passing touchdowns. So that's super cool.
Super cool. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, and he can come back next year too. Wow, good for him. I don't think Memphis fans would say he is the best quarterback to ever play at Memphis, but Brady White clearly is he's a really good guy. Congratulations to him.
I mean, if he's not the best, I understand people are frustrated with Brady from time to time. But not a whole lot of Memphis quarterbacks have gotten you to a Sugar Bowl. Not a whole lot of Memphis quarterbacks have quarterbacked a team who's ranked. Not a whole lot of Memphis quarterbacks have won conferences. Right?
I'll take.
If he's not it, who is?
Danny Wimpron, Paxton Lynch, Riley Ferguson. I'd take all 3 of them. I'd take all 3 of them over Brady. But congratulations to Brady.
He's certainly
He's a good
certainly the most accomplished.
He sounds like, is he dating your sister, Roser, or something? Like,
No, he's not. He's not. Look, if you look, Memphis got that cover, but you watch the first half of that game, and it's like pretty. Stone Cold Stephen F. Austin was. It looked bad,
and then 20-14 with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter,
and then Memphis ends up scoring 56.
Turnovers, touchdowns.
They started drilling them.
Tough one for Memphis this week. This line's already climbed all the way to 14. Memphis is a 14-point favorite on the road.
Why?
Against Navy. Memphis 2-8 against the spread their last 10. 1-5 against the spread as a favorite following a win. They're 1-6 against the spread.
Look,
it's been awful against the number this year.
I get Navy is not what Navy was like 2-3 years ago, but dude, we have seen Memphis Navy games. We know how this goes. We've seen it.
Last 5 meetings, Navy has 338 rushing yards per game. The last 5 meetings, 338 per game. Memphis 1-4 against the spread against Navy all time. The home team is 3-1 against the spread. Everything leaning to Navy. Everything leaning to Navy this week against the Memphis Tigers, as that line has jumped up to 14.
If you want to point at something that hasn't been successful for Memphis this year, it's not Brady White. He's been fine. I know what you mean, Roser. He hasn't been a Heisman contender or anything like that. He's been fine. It's the running game. Clearly, without Gainwell and having all these guys sit out and transfers and everything else, they really haven't established a run all season. And then we also, we talked about at the beginning of the year, maybe this is the year their defense takes that next step and is good enough to get them through, and that hasn't been there either. So if you don't have the running game or the defense and you're just relying on Brady White and everyone's kind of keying on him, then I think we see what happens. Memphis isn't good enough to get out of the AAC. Maybe Brady White set some records along the way, but I guess Roser's, what would you say? He's a good guy?
He is a really good guy. He was like Mike Norvell's daughter's babysitter last year, or whatever it was. Yeah, he's fine. Brady's fine. Brady's been a good college quarterback, but he's not. He's not amazing or anything. I don't think any Memphis fan who has watched Memphis, who watched Riley Ferguson play, who watched Paxton play, who watched Danny Wimpron play, I think any Memphis fan would say they would take those 3 over Brady White if they could.
Probably. Big comeback win for LSU last week. They beat Arkansas at Orgeron, now 13-0 as the LSU head coach following a loss.
That's a little misleading because they didn't have to play Alabama 2 weeks ago.
Well, yeah, they were supposed to play Alabama 2 weeks ago. It didn't happen. But they did play Arkansas, and that line kept going back and forth, but LSU ended up being a small favorite in that game in Fayetteville. LSU gets the win. Were we impressed at all with LSU? That was – I thought they looked – they didn't look good, but they looked more normal.
I wasn't.
That's like me saying Brady White's a good guy. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I thought I wasn't impressed. If anything, I was a little disappointed in Arkansas. We thought early on the season, we thought Arkansas was the team that was going to. Bart Franks was not going to be Bart Franks. He was going to be better than that, and the defense was going to be good. And they haven't been that this season. They've been inconsistent to me and haven't put up as much of a fight as I kind of hoped they would all year.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing for Arkansas. Arkansas is supposed to play Missouri this week. That game has been postponed. Missouri now will be playing Vanderbilt as the Vanderbilt initially scheduled game with Jordan. No, who was Vanderbilt supposed to play? Tennessee. That's right.
This is the one I was wanting.
It's rivalry week. Tennessee Vanderbilt has been postponed. Vanderbilt now playing Missouri.
This is the game I wanted to get to was Tennessee Vandy, because if you watch Vandy the last couple of weeks, they've gotten better. Like they could have beaten Kentucky. They lost by 3, 38-35. We covered that game by a ton with our plus 86.5 or whatever we got them at. And then last week they were good for a half against Florida. And then, Florida ends up running away. But Florida wasn't, mega impressive last week. They probably just kind of...
They were impressive earlier this year against A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been more impressive.
They have been. And you see the way Tennessee's been, how they're trending downward, and you can't trust Garantano. Dude throws 100-yard pick sixes.
Vanderbilt is the best 0-7 team in college football.
I was going to say, I was going to just do the bold thing and say Vandy was going to beat Tennessee straight up this weekend, and Jeremy Pruitt, they would have no choice but to fire.
Here's the crazy thing, Garozer. I 100% agree with you. I was going to have Vandy winning this one too, because I figured they can't go 0-10, right? They got to win one somewhere along the line, and this seemed like the perfect setup. They looked okay against Florida for some of that game last week. And I thought Tennessee's a team that is right on the verge of just giving up. And I think this was the perfect storm. They were going to take Tennessee out to the Flemish Cap and win this thing, but maybe it's not going to happen now.
Well, and you saw, so you watched some of that Florida game. Like some of those throws that Vandy quarterback threw, I was like, whoa.
Seals.
I was like, all right. Like he was throwing some dives.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Arkansas, as I mentioned, they will not play this week as their game with Mizzou postponed. LSU will play. They're taking on Texas A&M. Ed Orgeron talking about the big win that they got last week over the Hogs.
Tremendous win for our football team. Give the players credit. Beginning of the week, we had some phenomenal practices, great leadership. Give coaches the credit. Our coaches did a tremendous job by coaching these guys the whole week. We came on the road. I think that this is a different Arkansas team under Sam Pittman. A very well coached football team, very well disciplined football team. They had athletes on both sides. It came down to making the play at the end, and we did.
There you go.
They're a good football team, Coach Sam Pittman doing a tremendous job over there in Arkansas with the good players, and we were fortunate to come out here with a win today.
That's right.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. A&M, a 14-point favorite over LSU this week. The total is 64.5. LSU is 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 games, 8-3 against the spread, their last 11 on the road, 5-1 against the spread, taking on teams with a winning record as well. Last 8 against top 10 opponents, they have scored over 40 points 6 of those 8 times. A&M, meanwhile, 1-6 against the spread after having less than 450 yards the previous week. Just saying.
Wait, what was that again?
1-6 against the spread after having less than 450 total yards the previous week. Also 1-5 against the spread in week 13. Yeah, no, it's true. LSU has won 8 of the last 9 against A&M. Their only loss came in that 7 overtime game. LSU has covered the last 9 against A&M. They've covered the last 9. Everything leaning to the Tigers against the third best team in the SEC.
2 touchdowns is a lot, too. That's a lot. I mean,
are you convinced that Texas A&M's good?
I mean, I think Texas A&M is pretty good. I think they are pretty good. We realized we were. It's because they barely beat Vandy, and we thought Vandy was going to be the worst team in the country.
And it turns out Vandy field a team.
Yeah, and it turns out Vandy has gotten better as the season goes on. And then they got blasted by Alabama. But what we've seen is dude, Alabama has blasted everybody.
Yeah.
They have not been in a close game at all. Their offense, they lose Jalen Waddle. They have not missed a beat because Devontae Smith catches everything that is thrown his way. That guy is incredible. So we've just seen Alabama has destroyed everybody. So you really can't kill Texas A&M for getting destroyed by Bama, and they beat Florida.
Are we going to talk about our 3 favorite SEC teams right now, Rob? Or
sure, go ahead. 1, 2, 3. We got Alabama, then who?
And then Florida, and then I'm going to go Georgia. I got a stat for you guys. Texas A&M has beaten 1 team with a winning record this season.
Yeah, that was
bad. Florida.
Yeah.
The rest of their wins have come against teams that are combined 7-23. And who do we get this week? LSU, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they haven't played anybody. They beat Florida. They played one good team. That was Alabama. How'd that go for them?
I mean, the Florida win's really good, though. Like,
Really good.
The Florida win is really, really good. I mean, that's a great win.
That was still when. Well, okay, I'll play devil's advocate or whatever you want to call it. But that was against a Florida team that at the time their defense was a mess. They had all those guys who were hurt. It was early in the season. I would think now Kyle Trask is playing about as well as he's ever played, and the defense seems to have kind of come around a little bit. I would think if they play now, it might be a little bit of a different outcome.
Yeah, I think this one's interesting because I'm not convinced that A&M's really good. I mean, I think they're good, but are they really good? And I'm not convinced LSU is as bad as they were. And like I said, they looked a little more normal last week against Arkansas. If LSU's normal this week, is A&M good enough to blow them out by 2 touchdowns?
Look,
I don't know if A&M's that good.
I mean, I hear what you're saying about the teams that they have beaten and what their combined record are. And the Vandy win, look, that was 17-12. That was
brutal.
Yeah, 41-38 over Florida. Great win. I mean, they beat Mississippi State by 2 touchdowns. They beat Arkansas by 11. They beat Arkansas by double digits, and they killed South Carolina. So they did what they were supposed to do against the bad teams. Like, they pretty much, other than Vandy, they beat the crap out of the way.
But you're not convinced of them, though.
I mean, I'd still think if they play Florida again, you take Florida in a rematch.
Yeah,
like I think you would. I also don't trust. I don't trust an Ed Orgeron team. So this game is a complete stay away from me. Complete stay away from me.
It's Iron Bowl week. Can you feel it? Not really.
No.
Iron Bowl week, Alabama and Auburn, 2 ranked teams heading into the rivalry week. Auburn, 12-21 straight up against top 25 opponents. They've lost 16 of their last 26 when they're ranked going against a ranked opponent. Alabama has covered their last 6 at home. They've covered their last 6 as a home favorite, which was their last 6 at home. 5-1 against spread, last 6 against the SEC. They've won 45 straight as double-digit favorites against SEC opponents, going 26-19 against the spread in those. Head-to-head, Alabama's won 5 of the last 6 at home. The home team has covered 6 of the last 8, and 6 of the last 9 have gone over. Alabama favored by 23.5. The total in this one, it's 60.5. Nick Saban on having that right mindset.
You know, I think this week, every player, every team, always has to make a decision on how they want to handle success. Some teams handle success well. Some teams can only respond when something bad happens, which is a little more like human nature. And hopefully we're trying to get our players to build on the momentum that we created in what we did last week and continue to work hard so that we can continue to play well in the future. But to do that, you got to be able to handle success. You can't be casual about your approach. You got to prepare. You got to work hard. You got to go out and earn it. You got to play every play. And you got to do a little extra sometimes to, make that happen in terms of your preparation.
Why do they have to do Kentucky like that? I mean, that was like a bludgeoning.
They didn't try to do that to Kentucky.
No,
they just fell into that.
I mean, it was. Look, I mean, I think it is undefeated this year. Alabama first halves they're undefeated against the spread, against the first half spread. I believe they are.
So they're
except the Georgia game. Except the Georgia game. Georgia led at halftime. Other than that, yeah, they basically have been last year's Ohio State when it comes to the first half. I mean, they just come out and stomp these teams in the first half. I cannot wait to see a first half line on the Iron Bowl because it's probably going to be, if the spread's 23.5 to 24. The first half is probably going to be 14.5.
Wow.
I think it doesn't help that Auburn's missing like one of their best linebackers. KJ Britt's hurt. Bigsby is still kind of questionable in offense. A bunch of the linemen are hurt. I mean, I know Malzahn's beaten Alabama 3 times, but this is not the year that's going to happen.
And how they beat them last year, the end of the first half that Saban was not happy about. Auburn being able to get that field. Like, there was a lot in that game Saban was really, really pissed off about. I mean, I think they're going to go scorched earth on all. And it's not like Auburn was super impressive against a lowly Tennessee team last week.
What's the conversation about Gus on Sunday?
Oh, if they get bludgeoned, he's gone. If they get killed, he's gone. This is the game. If he can keep it close, he may keep his job. But the fans already dislike him, and they already want him gone. So
this is the kind of game that he'll win and keep his job for another year. This is what happens every year.
Horseshoe Gus. He's got that horseshoe.
He really is. I will give you $100 if Auburn beats Alabama. Lang.
Oh,
he ain't winning.
I'm not putting up $100.
He ain't winning this game. He's not beating out. Like I think Alabama's probably going to just. I mean,
they should.
I agree with you.
52. I'll say 52-17.
Wow.
I agree with you. They're going to kill them, but now I want Auburn to win, so you can give me $100.
Well, you said you wouldn't take it, so.
Oh, I'll take it.
I'm not putting up 100, but I'll take yours.
Well, that's just not how this works.
Oh, well. That's not a good bet. Vanderbilt's at Missouri this week. Yes, that game has been made up. Vanderbilt at Missouri. Missouri's favored by 20 over the Commodores, and we were just talking about how well the Commodores have played. Commodores have covered their last 5 in November. They've covered their last 4 on the road. 5-3 against the spread as an underdog, covering their last 3 because they're a dog every game. 23-8 against the spread on the road when the total's between 42.5 and 49. 15-4 against the spread on the road when the total's between 45.5 and 49. Automatic for Vanderbilt here. Mizzou, they're 1-4 against the spread after rushing for less than 100 yards the previous week. Missouri, last 5 as a favorite have gone under. Vanderbilt seems to go under all the time. Missouri's been going under constantly. The last 6 meetings with these two teams have all gone under, and 4 of the last 5 have been decided by single digits. Heavy lean to Vanderbilt this week as they have to suddenly prepare for a new team.
Rob, the last time I liked the Commodores this much, Lionel Richie was still in the group. I'm going all in with the Vanderbilt this week. I think they cover.
I do too. I like the Doors.
I will say the last time I liked the Commodores this much, Derek Dooley was coaching the Vols.
That was good. Yeah, Butch too. Butch was covering.
Yeah.
Things went pretty well. All right, we'll take a break here on the Odds Couple. We'll come back and we'll talk a little more college football, including the Vols and what could have happened to the Vols this week. Also, Lance Taylor is going to be joining us. We'll have our picks. It's all coming up here on the Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
I love the haircut. They tell me you've been getting beat up over it, Zach.
They say I look like I'm 25. Oh, please. I was in somebody said I was in Vegas. They said, "Is that Zion?" I said, "I paid away for little brother." I said, "That's my little brother."
Tune into grindcitymedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or on the official Grizzlies mobile app to catch Chris live or download each episode daily, and subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud today.
The debate is whether he's a star or a superstar right now, which is what the headline and sort of the tweet suggests. But I'm liking that discussion right now with Ja Morant at point guard.
Tune in to grindcitymedia.com to follow Michael Wallace and Lang Whitaker as they debate the biggest topics in the NBA, the Grizzlies, its IMH show. Mike and Lang will share their humble opinions on the hottest league water cooler news, providing insight, analysis, and a little heat. Watch and read weekly by visiting grindcitymedia.com or follow on Twitter at grindcitymedia today. What's up, Grizzlies fans? I'm Megan Triplett, and I have some exciting news to share. We have a new app. That's right. It's a 3-in-1 experience that you don't want to miss out on. Check this out. The app will keep you up to date on all of the Grizzlies stats and latest news. If you're looking to see what events are going on at FedEx Forum, that can all be found on the app as well. Plus, if you want to see more of me and the rest of the Grind City Media team, like Chris Vernon, Lang Whitaker, and Mike Wallace, there's a section for all that. It is 365 days of content to keep you in touch with all things Grizzlies, FedEx Forum, and GCM. And did I mention you can also purchase and manage tickets on the app? The app does it all. Download it now.
Welcome back to GrindCityMedia.com, live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Now, here's more of the Odds Couple, Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.
Hey, don't miss the newest Grind City Media show, Rise and Grind, with Jessica Biel and Jessica Benson. Tune in tomorrow, Jessica Biel.
Hey, she would love that. Jessica Benson would love that because she is a massive Timberlake fan. So if Jessica Biel was also here, that means Timberlake would probably be close by.
And I'm pretty sure Jessica likes Seventh Heaven also. So
it seems like her kind of show.
She's big on Jessica Biel.
That's Jessica Benson and Megan Triplett. They bring fun, fresh, and energy every morning. Sports, entertainment, pop culture, everything in Memphis. Tune in, grindcitymedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or via the official Grizzlies mobile app to catch Jessica and Megan live, or download each episode daily and subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud today. Welcome back, everyone, to The Odds Couple, getting you set for the big weekend in both college football and in the National Football League. It's Egg Bowl week, and the anticipation of a Lane Kiffin-Mike Leach battle is, well, that's where we're at. Mike Leach, tough loss last week against the Georgia Bulldogs. They were toe-to-toe with the Bulldogs for that game, lost by a touchdown, and here's Leach after that loss.
Really good, and I think that this is the best game we've played this year. I was very proud of the way our guys played. Wish we hadn't come up short, but I was really proud of them. This is by a significant margin the best game we've played this year.
Mike, Neil mentioned the you guys lacking players, and obviously a lot has been made of that number 53. I'm just curious what went into the decision to come into Athens and playing shorthanded like you did.
Oh, well, we're just excited to have a game.
Mike Leach.
Yeah. That's the shortest answer he's probably ever given.
Yeah.
Mike Leach normally will talk about anything. No, and maybe it is, because I know much was made about them not having a lot of guys, and they're only probably 49 scholarship players, because it's really like so many of them have just transferred out. Maybe like they finally played well, because he talked about needing to there's basically like there's some quote bad apples that I've got in this locker room that I've got that need to get it, that he needs to get out of there, and it's like he got rid of them, and the people who actually want to be there kind of rallied together. They didn't have enough to get it done, but I said he will win there. He's won everywhere. It will happen. He's going to have to get the guys that want to play for his program and play his style in there. But once he does get them, he will win games.
Yeah,
I watched the whole game against Georgia, and I think it's a little misleading to say that Mississippi State looked good in the game. Like they were okay, and they basically just stuffed the box against Georgia and made JT Daniels throw the ball, and he did. He threw 400 yards against them, and Georgia just basically played prevent defense the whole game, and I thought the quarterback, Will Rogers, America's most honest man, looked pretty good for them as a freshman. He looked pretty good, not great, but could move the ball and got him up and down the field, and they got some scores. But I think if they play against a team that's really going all out, when Georgia in the fourth quarter started blitzing and throwing some things at him, that he really struggled. And if that happens for the whole game, I think they might kind of be back where they were a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Ole Miss, 10.5-point favorite in this one against Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. State 6-2 against the spread in the month of November. They've gone over in 5 of their last 7 on the road. Ole Miss, their last 6 following a win, they've gone over as well. Head-to-head, Mississippi State has won the last 2. The road team has covered 4 of the last 5. That would be State this week. The underdog, also State this week, 6-2 against the spread the last 8 years. Home team has lost 4 of the last 5 in the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss favored by 10.5 total at 67.5. It'll be interesting this week. I talked about LSU, and maybe they're not as bad as we thought or saw them for that stretch of time. Maybe Arkansas. I think Arkansas is still good, decent. They're competitive football team. What do we know about State? Does anything from last week, Lang, you watched the whole game, you said, does it change your mind on State going into this game with Ole Miss? Because if it's the State from 4 or 5 weeks ago, they're going to get outscored 70-16 against Ole Miss.
I think they'll do a little better than that. I mean, Georgia didn't really try to pass the ball too much until they had to. They were trying to get the run going. They couldn't run the ball against Mississippi State. They ended up finishing, I think, under 50 yards rushing for the game. Against the pass, Mississippi State was okay and did all right. But I think with that depth issue that they have and just missing some of I think both of their safeties, their top safeties are out. If I'm Ole Miss, I'm just going to run my offense, keep Mississippi State on the field as much as I can, and hope Matt
Corral
or start a brawl from both sidelines. So.
I will say this for the Emerald. To me, this might be I think it probably the most underrated rivalry in the country in college football.
Really?
Like it matters a ton in that state. Like it really does. And the game is always intense. Like you turn on the Egg Bowl and it's like these dudes are trying to kill each other out there. Like it's real hatred. It really is. It is real hatred. Especially when it was Mullen and Freeze. When it was Mullen at Mississippi State and Freeze at Ole Miss, because both had really good programs. I mean, those games were amazing to watch. And hopefully, as the time goes on, when these guys all get their players in there and everything, we'll get the same thing with Kiffin and Leach.
Yeah. NFL this week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off a tough loss to the Los Angeles Rams on Monday night. Their schedule continues to be difficult. This week they have the Kansas City Chiefs. Lang, earlier this week, Rosa and I were talking about it on the Chris Vernon show because Devin Walker brought it up. So I'll bring it up to you and I'll give credit to Devin. Are we starting to think about Brady? Did Monday night start to make us think? Is it over? Is he getting old?
As an Atlanta Falcons fan, like I think of Tom Brady the way like wrestlers think of the Undertaker. Like you could put him in a coffin, bury him in the ground, and I would see his hand shoot up out of the dirt. Like after Super Bowl 53, like I don't. What do you want me to say? Like I'm not going to say anything bad about Tom Brady. I don't think he's over until he takes himself out of the game. But to say that that last pass last night was hilarious when he overthrew the dude and gave up the game.
Yeah, and he had some really bad passes, and Rosa, we talked a little bit about it, but it's we've been here before, but the numbers are saying differently too.
Yeah, I mean he's 0 for 19 with 6 picks on his last 19 deep passes down the field, and that's in the last 4 games. Like that's. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Belichick kind of knew this. Like, Belichick always had him, it was short passes and let guys run after the catch most of the time. And I think Arians needs to recognize that, too. There's got to be some adjustments that he do. Now if it also will help him if they can run the ball, and neither team could run the ball last night.
No, they couldn't. Tampa taking on Kansas City this week. Kansas City tight end Travis Kelce, he loves their quarterback and Patrick Mahomes, but he said the leadership comes from Andy Reid.
It's almost got almost like a father figure kind of role in the building, and it's because everyone loves him so much. I mean, he's got an unbelievable way of getting the best out of everybody. That is relating to all different aspects and all different forms of life. And that's what's beautiful about this game is you bring in all these different forms of life and different walks of life, and they have to play together. This game is not won with one guy. The beauty about the game is that it takes everyone. I think Coach Reid does an unbelievable job of relating to everybody and getting the best out of everybody. And he's the ultimate leader.
All forms of life that are brought in to those Kansas City Chiefs.
That's why I wonder, like when Eric Bieniemy gets brought up for head coaching jobs. Sometimes I do wonder, and especially because you look at Matt Nagy in Chicago, it's like, is it the coordinators are good, or is it this is Andy Reid's offense, and we've seen Andy Reid. Andy Reid's got a history now in the NFL of his system is really good wherever he is.
I mean, Matt Nagy, in his defense, doesn't have a healthy quarterback and doesn't have a good quarterback.
He doesn't have a good one, yes.
So they're unhealthy and they're bad. So
yeah,
they're struggling a bit and still right there with a chance to be a wild card team.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting games this weekend in the National Football League. Chargers-Bills seems to be good as the Bills continue to play well. Chargers got a good win. Now with Joe Burrow being done for the season, is Herbert the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I would say Herbert's the Rookie of the Year. What's the line in Chargers Bills?
Bills by 6.
Bills by 6. Okay, so how will Anthony Lynn screw this up for the Chargers? How will he screw up the cover? There's going to be a way where the Chargers seem like they have the cover nailed, and then they won't cover.
Yeah.
So somehow Buffalo will. It'll be a 3-point game. And they could easily just run the ball into the line and get a field goal, or somehow they end up fumbling. Buffalo will run it back. I don't know, or whether he should just spike the ball and then kick the field goal to tie the game and go to over. Somehow the Chargers will not cover the game. Anthony Lynn, God bless him.
Titans.
That dude couldn't cover against the Jets. Come on.
Titans and Colts this weekend as well. Titans, a team that really are hard to figure out, and they had a big win last week against the Ravens. Ravens have become a weird team to kind of figure out right now as well. But Titans taking on the Colts. Colts with a big cover last week. Colts playing well. Colts are playing well on defense, and they're doing enough offensively.
Roser and I talked about it 2 weeks ago that the Colts defensively are really good. Like they get after it, they're fast. They can, and they hung in that game. And then Aaron Rodgers happened. But I think, I'm going to let John talk about the Ravens.
Yeah, we'll get to the Ravens, but we'll say the Colts first. The Colts, they could that was a crazy win that they had. I mean, against Green Bay, that was an insane win. And Valdez Scantling, like Aaron Rodgers. That's like the second. I remember the 49ers game when he threw a pass to Valdez Scantling and he dropped it, and Rodgers just stared a hole through him on the way to the sidelines. And then when he fumbled that ball the other day against Indianapolis and set the Colts up for the winning field goal in overtime, I mean, I was like, if that dude makes it out of that locker room alive, like Rodgers just looks like he wants to murder him. But if the Colts if they would have signed Teddy Bridgewater instead of Phillip Rivers, I mean, we could be talking a Super Bowl contender. They have weapons on offense, too. They've got offensive weapons also. And, look, they lose Marlon Mack for the season. Jonathan Taylor. Is it a shocker that Jonathan Taylor's a good NFL? I mean, if you watch Jonathan Taylor all throughout college at Wisconsin, it's like, is it a shocker that this guy's good in the NFL? This Indy team they're really good.
Yeah.
Really good. They're tough.
Yeah, I think the game of two teams that I haven't been able to be on the right side of, I don't think all season long, are playing each other on Sunday night with Green Bay and Chicago.
It's easy, Rob. Chicago stinks.
Yeah,
Chicago's not good. What I don't understand is, Cordero Patterson, it's like they can't figure out enough ways to get him the ball. He's good. He's a good NFL player, but they're treating him like he's like Desmond Howard in his prime or something. Like they're giving him in the backfield and kick returns and receptions. Like, I don't understand what they're doing on offense. Their defense is good, but offensively they are just not good. And so you just go against them every time.
When you don't have a good quarterback and you can't run the ball, it is hard for you to be good offensively. And the Bears don't have a good quarterback and they can't run the ball. So you end up saying, hey, who's the most athletic offensive player we got? Cordero? Cool. Get ready to get this football, dog. We're going to give it to you up the middle. We're going to run you some bubble screens, some slants. You're going to touch this football in space. And teams know that's coming. They can stop it.
And Packers are a bad cover team because they play at the level of their competition every week. And usually they're just a little better. So, Packers, Bears.
I would say Green Bay. I'm not betting on Chicago. I'm not betting on a team that I don't know if they can drive the ball down the field and get a touchdown. Like, they just
they can't.
No chance.
They can't do it.
No.
So your advice is just go against the Bears.
Yeah, go against it. I've been doing it all year and it's been working. And from what CJ said, maybe Cordero Patterson's the most talented player they have on offense. If Cordero Patterson's the most talented player you have on offense, you got a problem. That's not good.
Yeah, that's also true. All right, let's take a break here on the Odds Couple. When we come back, Lance Taylor is going to join us. We'll talk about the Tennessee issues. Also, we will have our picks for the week. This is the Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
Hey yo, happy Friday. It's time to rise and grind. I'm Jessica Benson.
Did you say hey yo?
Hey yo.
I'm Megan
Friday. Come
on.
We have a big show lined up for you today. We've got all sorts of things to talk about with NFL updates, college football updates.
We got to get to some pop culture news. It's the music, the entertainment, everything going on.
All the stories to get you through today and into your weekend.
Rise and Grind with Jessica and Megan. Live daily at 8 a.m. on grindcitymedia.com.
In everything we do, defensive activity, offensive execution, play together, have an edge about us. Just play with an edge. Play with an edge and play together.
Durant, block for Jaren. Blocked by James. Dylan Brooks with authority. Tyus Jones to Brandon Clark. A turn and gun. He got it. Jones for three. Stolen blocked by Jaren.
Yeah, stay together, Blue. Stay together. Way to roll me, kid. Let's leave it out there.
Ja Morant with elevation.
Once a week, get your basketball fix with Talkin' Grizz featuring me, Kelsey Wright Johnson, and media from around the NBA as we discuss draft topics, prospects, and more. Connect with Grind City Media on all their social channels, subscribe to Grind City Media YouTube, and follow Grind City Media on Twitter and Instagram to stay up to date with all things Grizzlies.
Welcome back to the Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Here's the Odds Couple, Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.
Get your daily sports, pop culture, and Grizz fix with insider news and commentary on all things sports and more with the Chris Vernon Show. Now live at noon daily, Monday through Friday. Tune in to GrindCityMedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or via the official Grizzlies mobile app to catch Chris live or download each episode daily and subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Odds Couple as we talk about some of the action coming up this weekend. A couple of other games in the SEC. You have Kentucky at Florida. Gators are a 24-point favorite. Kentucky's been pretty good. The last 23, they've covered 15 of those 23. 4-1 against the spread on the road against winning teams as well. Florida, meanwhile, 7 of their last 9 over, 6 of their last 8 as a favorite over. They've been an over machine. Florida's won 32 of the last 33 matchups against Kentucky, and including 11 of the last 12 at home. 4 of the last 6 have gone over, and Kentucky has covered the last 3 against the Florida Gators.
Did you just say that Kentucky's covered 15 of the last 23?
Yes.
How about the last 1?
They didn't know. They didn't cover by like double. Yeah, their line was 30. Yeah, they didn't cover by double in that game against Alabama. So that could count as 2.
That's all I need
losses.
to know.
Yeah, okay. I got Florida 41-24 over Kentucky, if you're interested. 41-24.
41-24. Kentucky always finds a way to keep that game close.
Yeah.
They always do.
And fall short. Georgia, 20-point favorite over South Carolina. Total of that one is 50. Georgia's been good against the number, 20-14 against the spread against SEC opponents. 10 of their last 14 as a favorite have gone under really playing into play here. South Carolina's not covered in their last 4 games. Following an ATS loss, they are 0-5 against the spread. And head-to-head, Georgia's won 4 of the last 5. Road team has covered the last 4. The favorite has covered 7 of the last 10. And 9 of the last 12 at South Carolina have gone under. So all leaning towards Georgia and the under this week in Columbia, South Carolina. Meanwhile, the Vols, they're not playing this week. Their game was postponed after they got beat last week by the Auburn Tigers. Afterwards, Jeremy Pruitt asked about his quarterback situation.
Jeremy, you said, figuring out guys that give you the best chance to win. Where are you sitting right now? Do you think that Jarek Arantano gives you the best chance to win at quarterback?
Absolutely. If I didn't, I wouldn't play him. I mean, guys, he didn't miss 2 field goals. Okay. Coverage. There's lots of things. Did he make a mistake? He made a mistake. Absolutely. I made mistakes in the game. Okay. So, the bottom line is, guys, is we all have to execute a little bit better to be productive, so we can score more points on Saturday than the other team does.
Coach, what would you say to any fans or any other reservists who are starting to have questions on the progression and direction of this program?
It ain't my job, guys. My job's to coach. Okay. If you want to ask me a football question,
Shut your ass up and get out of Knoxville, dude. You're getting fired. You should get fired. Like it's clear what that program is right now. You had your chances earlier in the year. It looked like things might be going the right way, and then you just got absolutely bombed by Kentucky. It's one thing you lose to Georgia, but they got just dismantled by Kentucky. It has all gone downhill since then. When was their last win? Was it Missouri? Was Missouri their last win? Missouri was their last win, week 2 of the season, Missouri? Because they started 2-0.
It was either Missouri or South Carolina. I feel like it was Missouri.
South Carolina was the first game, so they won that. Missouri was the second week.
Yeah, it was Missouri.
Yeah, dude, it's like, well, don't talk to me about the direction of the program. You won't ask me a football question, I'll answer your football question, and that's just kind of how it's going to be. I'm Jeremy Pruitt.
Are you Jeremy Pruitt or Forrest Gump? Like, what are you?
The same thing.
First Jeremy Pruitt
Same
impression
thing.
I've ever heard, and it was terrible.
That's not a terrible Jeremy. That is how he sounds.
Ask me a football question. Joining us now as co-host of the Roundtable on WJOX in Birmingham. He's on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor, and you can get his picks daily at Lance'sLocker.com. Lance Taylor joins us here on the Odds Couple. Hello, Lance.
Hello.
Hello, fellas. Yes, the first interaction, well, not interaction, the first time that I had ever heard the name Jeremy Pruitt. He was on that show Two-A-Days, which honestly I never watched on MTV, about Hoover High School, which was a dominant football program back in the day. Under Russ Probst, he was one of the assistant coaches. You guys probably heard about it. Went to the steakhouse chain Fleming's, and when they ordered asparagus, he didn't know what asparagus was. And I don't think he was kidding. I mean, I'm not making this up. That was like something that was talked about for a long time, and I don't think he'll ever live that down. But he is from the sticks, from Rainsville, Alabama, and it is amazing how quickly he has lost that fan base. I mean, back in September, after starting 2-0, they had won, 8 consecutive games dating back to 2019, and had one of the longest, active winning streaks in the FBS, and now the wheels have completely fallen off. And I'll go back to that pick six that Garantano throws with 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter. They're down 13-10. That game could have been 17-13 Tennessee, and the way Eric Gray was running the football, Tennessee had a shot at winning that game, but I don't know. It just seems like they have tapped out, and their only winnable game looked to be Vanderbilt, and I kind of wanted to see that because this is such a train wreck. Vanderbilt had an opportunity to beat them. I can't even imagine if Vanderbilt upsets them and they lose 8 games to end the season. But boy, I tell you, man, the momentum is gone.
So this was and it's not really like funny, but it just tells you like Tennessee's fan base. Whether you listen to Vol Calls or follow them on social media, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But apparently, their athletic director, Philip Fulmer, announced he was positive for COVID-19. And when he posted it when it was posted on Twitter, it was Chris Vernon tells me that like the first 5 or 10 comments underneath it were hire Hugh Freeze. That's what they are. Not get well, coach, or anything like that. Hire Hugh Freeze.
We're going to be your headline of COVID-19. Don't really care. Get well in a couple of weeks, but we want Hugh Freeze. Look, it's interesting now that talk has gone from Hugh Freeze, wherever, to Tennessee now, because I was saying early in the season, when Auburn was struggling a little bit, and, now they've kind of pulled it out of the gutter. Now they're heading for a buzzsaw this weekend in the Iron Bowl against Alabama. But, inevitably, I'm one of those that believes Gus Malzahn, like most coaches, he is going to be fired. I mean, if you like mediocrity, that's kind of what you get at Auburn right now with 4 or 5 losses every single year. A good chance they'll have 4 losses again in an abbreviated season. But, I was talking to Auburn fans, why would you not want a guy like Hugh Freeze? Auburn is a better program than Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze had them a game away from going to their first ever SEC championship.
Beat Alabama twice. I mean, throw that out first.
Well, and look, in Tennessee is obviously a program that is much better than Ole Miss. So, I think Hugh Freeze would have had a ton of success there. I don't know if Philip Fulmer, though, with an ego, after giving that contract extension just, within the year, would get rid of his guy. I just don't see it. I know Tennessee fans want it, but I think they're going to have to stick this out another year.
That's what I was kind of told. I talked to a couple people up there in Knoxville that follow the program and everything, cover the program, and that's what they kind of said. They're like, with that extension, they'd have to pay him $13 million. And in February, you're just now in February, you're going to be done paying Butch Jones.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't want to be paying another coach, again, while you have another one gone. It was a mistake to give him that extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And it's a dangerous cycle. You got to find a guy, you got to stick with it. And, it's tough times, and it's got to be demoralizing for volunteer fans. I just remember going up to a lot of Alabama-Tennessee games back in the day, and really that, it went from a decade of dominance of Alabama, and then it went to a decade of dominance for Tennessee. And, that's when Tennessee just had legit top 10 teams year in, year out, and obviously won a national championship in 1998. Just seems like so long ago now.
Is Gus's seat? We know it's always warm, but even it just depends on how warm his seat is on a week-to-week basis. Is it warm enough that a certain outcome this weekend could be the end?
No, I don't think so, Rob. You look at this number, and it's the highest that we've ever seen. Not the highest we've ever seen in the Iron Bowl, the highest we've seen since 2012, where Alabama actually had that number covered at halftime, and then went a little easy in the second half, and I think it was like a 49-7 final. I don't think it'll be that bad. And let's just say that Alabama covers the 24.5, which I lean they will. I still don't think it's enough to get Gus out. Again, if they lose to Texas A&M, they end up 6-4. I think people will say, hey, let's give him another year. I think most of us thought at the beginning of this year, a COVID year, with the athletic program's in such disarray and losing so much money that it was going to be hard to fire anybody and justify any of these buyouts. So I think that's going to be Auburn's situation this year. I think it'll be a wait and see next year, but I do think it is going to be super hot for Gus next year.
I said 52-17, Alabama wins.
Look, it wouldn't surprise me. I think here's the interesting thing. Alabama scored 35-plus in like a million straight games. I forgot what the exact number is, but it's like it might even be an NCAA record. And Auburn has yet to give up 35 points this year. Now, I feel really, really confident Alabama is going to keep that streak of 35 going. And I said this today earlier on the show. I believe this would be the biggest upset in Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama if they were to lose this game. Now, you can go back year one. In year one, I don't want to say it was a disaster because they ended up, I think, 6-7, and they lost to Louisiana Monroe. But, look, that was year one. That was Nick Saban having to, build from the bottom up. Now where Nick Saban is, obviously controlling their own destiny, and even if they were to lose this game, they could beat Florida in the SEC championship and still go on and win a national championship, go to a 14 playoff. But I just feel like where Alabama is right now is a 24.5-point favorite. If they were to lose to this Auburn team, and I know this Auburn team is ranked, it feels like it would be the biggest upset in the Nick Saban era.
No, I'm kind of with you there, and I think one of the things about Alabama, and they just have not missed a beat either without Jalen Waddle. But I think their defense is getting better too. I think their defense is getting better.
Man, since that first half of the Georgia game, I mean, they have been lights out. Look, and not that they played great offenses. And Kentucky moved the ball a little bit in the first quarter, but, you look down, you get a little bored of the game, and you look up, and they win by 60. I mean, it's insane. And, they start rolling out guys that you just haven't seen this year. Jace McClellan, a freshman running back, 10 carries, almost 100 yards in his first action of the year. Roy Dale Williams, another freshman, comes out, a sophomore in Jahlil Billingsley. There's just so many weapons on this offense, and it legitimately is 5-star after 5-star.
Yeah. Egg Bowl this week. Ole Miss and State. Interested? Did State show us something last week? Going to see a good fight against Ole Miss?
I think so. Most people don't. Most people believe that, Ole Miss will go out and lay it down offensively. Matt Corral will have a big game against this Mississippi State defense. But, watching JT Daniels, and that was the only thing I was interested in watching on Georgia-Mississippi State, he looked like a legitimate quarterback for Georgia. But even the numbers that he puts up, 401 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, hey, it was a 7-point game. Will Rogers seems to be getting comfortable in that Mike Leach offense. He goes for 336, 41 of 52. It just seems like Mississippi State is at least trying at this point in the season. This game means a lot, obviously, for all the kids in Mississippi, and the number's gone from 12 down to 9.5. I'll take more than a touchdown here. I think Will Rogers will have success. Well, anybody has success on that Ole Miss defense, but I think it'll be a fun game. I think Ole Miss, ultimately wins the game, but I'd take the points here.
What do you see in the NFL this week?
Looking around, this is so typical of Tampa Bay right now. I was all over the Rams this past Monday night. Big Rams fan, but I did love the Rams in that spot. And Tampa just goes up and down, and now they're hosting Kansas City, team that is sitting at 9-1. Although the Steelers are the only undefeated in the NFL, I think most people believe Kansas City is the best team in the NFL. They're 3.5-point favorites on the road at Tampa. I like Tampa plus the 3.5.
Yeah, Tampa's. They've been interesting.
Yeah, they have been.
And when since we've all declared Brady's demise after that Monday night performance, he'll certainly come back and prove us all wrong that he still is leading on the scorecards against Father Time.
Yeah, that's what happens. He'll go 350 against that Kansas City defense. Mike Evans will have a couple of touchdowns. Skill Bear will have a couple of sacks, and they'll end up winning. They'll lose the game by 3.
Hey, Lance, I want to run two college teams by you. I think one that might be worse than a lot of people think right now, and another that I think is better than their record is showing right now. The one that is worse, and I think may need to fade, is Kansas State. Heading into that Iowa State game, I had heard their previous just heading into that game, in which they got beat 45-0 by Iowa State. Heading into that game, their previous 37 drives, they had 4 touchdowns and 6 turnovers. Now, I don't know how many drives they had in the Iowa State game, but they clearly didn't get any touchdowns in that one either. So this may just be a total fade of that team right now.
Yeah, and I don't get it because Chris Kleiman seemed like he had them going in the right direction. I do think if Skylar Thompson doesn't get hurt, he's still your quarterback. I think it's much different. Now, I did lay the points with Iowa State this past weekend, thank God. That was one of those games in the second half that was already over. But K-State under 150 total yards in today's college football, that is nearly impossible. I don't disagree with you. They seem to be going in the wrong direction.
The team that I think is better than their record, because their record is 1-2, is UCLA. If you look at that Colorado game, it really was just the first half. They turned it over 4 times in the first half and were just a total disaster and got down big in that game. The second half, they scored a bunch. And then they came out the next week. They played Cal on a Sunday. It kind of got forgotten because it was Masters Sunday. The NFL schedule also was starting at noon. That game got forgotten about. And UCLA blasted Cal. And then you look at last week, they very well could have beaten that Oregon team. They lose by 3, 38-35. I think UCLA's better than their 1-2 record is showing.
Yeah, look, and I don't disagree. And, you didn't get Dorian Thompson-Robinson doesn't start. Yeah. And, Chase Griffin, a freshman, comes in, plays okay. But if you turn the football over 4 times against Oregon as almost a 17-point underdog and you only lose the game by a possession, that's pretty impressive. And Demetric Felton is one of the best running backs that nobody's heard about in college football. So it seems like they're getting more and more comfortable in this offense. And look, I just think they were overmanned against Oregon. And Tyler Shuck's a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he fits the mold of a true Oregon quarterback. I don't think Oregon's a team that is necessarily going to go undefeated. Well, they could go undefeated. I don't think that they could roll into a college football playoff and be a contender. But I agree with you. I think UCLA is better, and it seems like Chip Kelly, well, it's a way overdue, but it seems like, they're getting a little comfortable in that offense.
Lance, where can people get your picks every single day?
Yeah, jump on board. Again, it's lanceslock.com. It's only $90 per month. There's other services charging thousands of dollars. You never talk to anybody. We give you a password. You get every play. College basketball starting up this week. You get all college basketball, the NBA, NFL, college football side in total. By the way, 7-0 in the NFL this week for you. 4 consecutive winning weeks in the NFL, but 7-0, it doesn't get any better than that. So jump on board. We're going to win for you at lanceslock.com.
Sounds great, man. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, you guys enjoy the holiday. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy. Lance Taylor joining us here on The Odds Couple. It's now time for our picks this week, and I'll go ahead and start with Fish's 5. We'll start with the Memphis Tigers and Navy. I'm going Navy straight up, but I'll take the 12 points.
Money line!
But taking Navy straight up against Memphis. Memphis just been an awful team against the line. Navy hasn't been very good early in the season, but they've come on as of late. Alabama, I'll lay all the points against Auburn.
You're not going to take Auburn on the money line?
I'm not taking Auburn on the money line. No chance. If I did, you'd give me $100, right? Or no, I guess that'd be the other way.
You could just, if you want to take Auburn on the money line, you just get on your app, man. You can probably put $5 down to get you $100.
That's right. Mississippi State, I'll take the 10 points. I think Ole Miss will win the game, but this game, as Rosa was talking about earlier, always a great battle, and I think Mississippi State keeps it at least close in a high-scoring game. I'll take the Chiefs over the Bucks. Chiefs didn't really overly impress me against the Raiders. I thought they'd be coming back with a little revenge off the bye week, but they weren't great against the Raiders, especially defensively. But the Bucs have been up and down. It's tough for me to put the points with the Bucs right now. I'll go with the Chiefs. They're the best team in the league. And then I'll go with the Packers minus the 8 against the Bears because Lang told me just to go against the Bears. Lang?
Yeah, that's right. And I did the same thing. I'm going against the Bears. You can't pick the Bears. The Bears are no good. But I go with Memphis over Navy. I think they finally covered last week. They're due to keep this up. I think Alabama's going to blow out Auburn, and I think Mississippi State is going to hang around and be close enough. But I do think Ole Miss wins, same as you. But otherwise, I think we're all the same. What do you got, Roser?
I really don't like a lot of this stuff that I picked at all. The 5 games he gave me, I really don't. I'm not enjoying. I like Kimball. I may just flip on you right here. I did switch this one last night. I had Memphis, and I was like, wait, I've seen Memphis and Navy play before. I know how this goes. I'm going to take Navy there. Alabama's the only one I am confident in. So I will take Alabama minus the points. That lines up to 25.5 now. But I'd still take Alabama at 25.5. I don't feel good about the Ole Miss game. I'm going to take Ole Miss minus the 10. I do not feel good about it. It's the Egg Bowl. Something tells me it's going to be a 1-score game, but I'll roll with Ole Miss. I really want to change this Buccaneers-Chiefs pick to Kansas City. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We're going Kansas City -3. Sorry, Kimball. I swore to myself after I bet the Baltimore Ravens in the first half against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football earlier this year. Vernon and I told each other, said, we're never betting against Patrick Mahomes ever again. Yeah. Never betting against Mahomes. Green Bay, I do feel good about. I'll take Green Bay minus the points against Chicago. Chicago's terrible.
CJ, what you got?
Let me turn my mic on. There it is.
Hey!
There I am. Hey, everybody. Let me get Memphis. I'll take Memphis. I think if they can get to a fast start, they hadn't been able to do so all season, and I feel like if they can get off to a fast start, though, they'll roll Navy pretty easily. I feel confident in Auburn. Gus Malzahn, for all the issues that he has, he is what you want your coach to be if you're Michigan or Oklahoma State. That guy who can go out there and every now and then put up a good game against a far better, far superior rival. I think got the horseshoe this year, and everything's on it. He's on the hot seat. He needs this win. Gus finds a way to get the job done and at least keeps this closer than 23.5. So I'll take Auburn. I think the battle in the state of Mississippi comes down to who's a better coach. I feel like Lane Kiffin is a much better coach than what's his face over in Starkville. Yeah, that one. Give me Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, because why would I? I'm not betting against the Chiefs either, Roser. I'm done with that. I don't like taking the Packers, but I'll take them. That Bears defense is good enough to keep this a 17-10 type game if the offense can score 10 points. That's the question. I'm not sure if they can. And the two picks that I have on my own, I'm taking Oregon minus a 13.5 and the Raiders -3.
Lang, where are you going off the board this week?
I'm going Penn State +2 against Michigan. They got to win one eventually, and Michigan's so bad. So I'm going to roll.
Michigan's got a new quarterback though now.
But the secondary, Lang, the secondary.
The secondary's figured it out, and the quarterback's new.
I'm so wrong with Penn State. That's going to Nittany Lions. And then I'm going with Georgia -21 at South Carolina. Look, South Carolina's missing 17 scholarship players on defense, from what I read, and Georgia's going to kill them. They got a quarterback. Don't forget, last year South Carolina won that game and messed everything up for Georgia. This is Georgia's payback time against Mike Bobo. I think Georgia wins this one big.
Roser, where are you going off the board this week?
Well, I like, and this line has now moved my direction. I got it at this number. Maryland, baby Tua. You watch Maryland play outside of that opening game against Northwestern where they got destroyed 43-3, but that was like his first career start.
Yeah.
And Northwestern is good.
And Northwestern's good. I mean, God, they know how to make you look horrible. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I'm going Maryland plus the 14.5. That line is now 11.5 against Indiana. And then I'm going to go. I'm going to go roll with UCLA after seeing them. They're -9.5. It's under 10 points against an Arizona team that, I mean, I don't think Kevin Sumlin's a very good coach, but that UCLA team seems to be getting good. I will give you a take it to the bank guarantee. I just saw a first half line on Alabama and Auburn. Alabama -13.5. in the first half. Alabama, Auburn. You can parlay that with Baylor -5.5 against Kansas State, because we're just going to fade Kansas State. We're also going to take the under 46.5 in Kansas State and Baylor. And then we're going to take Illinois plus 28.5 against Ohio State. I would take Ohio State in the first half, but there's nothing Ohio State has shown that makes me think they can cover 4 touchdowns right now. Their secondary is horrible, and an Illinois team that is getting better. I know CJ knows the Big Ten.
Wow. All right. I'm going off the board with the Arizona Cardinals this week, -2 at New England. I'm convinced New England's not very good. I think Arizona's a pretty good football team. I'll go with Arizona -2 against the Patriots. And then in college, I'm going Notre Dame -4.5. I know Notre Dame's missing a couple of guys, but if this is the second best team in the country and a team that beat Clemson, this game against North Carolina that everybody's fearful of, how is this possible?
Yeah,
how is Notre Dame going to lose to this North Carolina team?
Well, Notre Dame, where they really do is they beat you up on the line of scrimmage, offensive and defensive lines. If they get pressure on Sam Howell, because North Carolina likes to throw the ball down the field a lot, so if Sam Howell has time to do that, maybe so. But it feels like if Notre Dame wants to push them around especially on offense and run the ball, that they're going to be able to do it.
4.5's a joke. All right, that's going to do it for the odds couple. Lang, I hope you win big, so we see you at the resort again next week. No offense. I'd love for you to be here, but I know it's beautiful there.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. UNC's going to cover that game, Rob. Just on you.
I'm staying away from it. Like, North Carolina's scared because you know they can be good. You know they can be good.
And
Sam Howell is really good. Sam Howell's a great quarterback.
And this is the Notre Dame game that, Like, you wait for them to screw up one game.
Lang's
You wait
too
for it.
fired up for a quarterback, by the way, in Georgia that they beat Mississippi State by a touchdown last week. Come on, man. 21. Come on, man. Enjoy the resort, Lang. Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Roser. Thanks, CJ. Thank you to Kimball as well. That does it for us here on The Odds Couple. Have a happy holiday weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Gobble, gobble.
You've been listening to The Odds Couple from the American Home Shield Studio on GrindCityMedia.com. Tune in next week for more football handicapping with Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.